Mohan Vishwa, spokesperson of the BJP in Karnataka, joining us live. Mohan, thank you very much for your time. A quick word as we see that the debate on whether or not hijab will be allowed inside educational institutions will be settled finally by the Supreme Court through its verdict in just a little while from now. In the meanwhile, how would you take all that criticism coming in from people who have been supporting this, supporting for freedom of choice, basically students to wear their hijab if they want to at educational institutions, calling this an attempt by the BJP government to make this a more political issue?
See, Pooja ji, we were not the one who started this. Who started this? It's about, again, some team of Congress, who supported the 5 girls in Udupi regarding this hijab. Post that, the SCPA and PFI came in, where PFI is banned today. So they were the one who supported, and they were the one who made a big issue, and they were the one who went to the court also, where the school level itself, the school management was, deciding, and they tried their level best by calling the parents and also the students also to settle there only, to make them understand the rules made by the school way back in 1986. And also all those things we did. So they were the one who took it to the court, and they were the one who made big. It's not we who did it. We always, respect constitution, judiciary.
What about many of those institutions, Mohan, that once allowed for hijab to be worn and all of a sudden retracted that ruling, pushing many students, Muslim girls, out of education?
Yeah. See, it's not that, many of the colleges or schools were allowed. See, the status quo has been maintained, especially in the schools run by the government or semi-government, whatever. Okay. The High Court also said very clearly the decision is of the management of the school. It's not that, it's a blanket approval or such kind of a thing. That's what even High Court also said. And even in this case also, and even in a lot of other schools and colleges also, the management have taken a very call, and also the government has quoted 1986 circular and also the 2006 act also. So it was very clear categorically that through a law also, through the management decision also of the school, that that should not be wear in the class. So when that is the case, there are some of the elements in the society who wanted to make this as such a big issue to put to a national level, or rather I can say international level, just for the sake of consolidating votes or pleasing one particular community. So we are very clear as a government, the circular was there earlier also. The same thing was reiterated, and the circular was applicable even during Congress regime. It's not that we bought a new circular.
Okay.
We just clarified it, that's all.
Mohan, please stay on with me, because also joining us in this telecast has been a vocal feminist woman, Zeenat Shaukat Ali. She's the founder, Director General of the World Institute of Islamic Studies for Dialogue, Organization and Mediation and Gender Justice. Now, Zeenat, from day one, I remember you've been speaking about it. You've had to battle a lot of trolling and abuses that come your way when you take some of the radicals within the community. But do you think in this case, the matter will be, of course, now a legal issue? The Supreme Court will deliver a verdict. But look how the radicals have also come to the surface. Now it's going to be this way or that for many girls in Karnataka schools.
Thank you for inviting me to the show, and I think you have a very strong point. But there is just one thing that I would like to give a message to the Muslim girls, that it has to be kitab, kitab and kitab. And there are 605 verses in the Holy Quran which deal with ilm, that means knowledge and its derivatives. It is the most important word in the most often word used in the Quran next to the word Allah. So there is no comparison. Ilm is absolutely important. Yes. Knowledge is important, and whatever the verdict is, you have to welcome it. I welcome it. I welcomed the High Court judgment, because I thought that anything that within a school, after all, the Constitution is permitting you to wear the hijab. There should be no misunderstanding about it. You can wear it at home, in college, I mean, in your shopping, with your friends, wherever. This is only for an educational institution where there has to be uniformity, where there has to be equality. You are going there to acquire an education. It has to cut across all religions. And what the High Court said couldn't have said it better, that there should be no religious symbolism at all allowed in any classroom. And so,
do you think it's also a day we should not be giving in to the religious conservatives? Do you think because they will, if at all it is allowed or permitted, they could actually take it into account and perhaps make it much worse? Or do you think this could be about denying the girls' education?
I think, no, the thing is that I think that, from what we've been hearing of, from the conservatives also, the Supreme Court judgment must be respected. And yes, you know, in Iran we see what is happening.
Yes.
You have seen it in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is saying that, you know, the abaya is not compulsory. You have to dress decently and modestly, and that's it. And it is optional, you see. So the whole point is that this entire debate is now becoming global. A lot of people are taking cognizance of it. I began writing about this 10 years ago. I just need you to know, and it was to be imbibed in my new book. But the whole point is that at this particular point of time, when there is so much outrage, when there is so much, you know, when women are pleading in Iran and they're being killed for that, you know, they're being, you know, they're being maligned and they're being killed for that is deplorable, condemnable, and brutal. And
you know,
one has
Zenith, if I could interrupt you here, Nabila here, a quick word. If you accept the manner and the process with which this ban was established in educational institutions overnight, maybe let's leave those 5 girls aside who protested at an institution which resisted a hijab inside classrooms. But what about many of those other institutions that overnight banned hijab, which resulted in thousands of Muslim girls exiting the educational system? Would you believe this process in which this happened was right? Zenith, if you can hear me.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question. Can you repeat that, please?
So, Zenith, Nabila here. My question to you is that all that you said, absolutely right. What the Kitab says is also, what the Quran says is also ilm, which is the Kitab. So you cannot pick one over the other. In fact, Muslim girls have been saying Islam first, Kitab next, which is false. That's nowhere mentioned in the Quran as well. Like you rightly said, it is the Kitab that's been stressed in the Quran time and again. Even hijab, according to the High Court, hijab is not a religious practice, but unfortunately we see in many parts of rural India, even urban India for that matter, women are conditioned to be wearing the hijab. Now, whether this is forced on them or not is a whole separate debate. But looking at the crux of this entire case and the way the protests have rolled out, it's because many institutions in Karnataka overnight banned the hijab based on what happened in one institution and based on the kind of protests that panned out. Literally in 24 hours, most institutions in coastal Karnataka that allowed hijab for eternity overnight banned that ruling, which really resulted in many of the students falling out of the educational system. They stopped going to schools, they did not attend examinations, close to 20,000 Muslim girls. Would you believe this process in which this happened was right?
No, I don't think that process was right. You see, everything has to be gradually done. It has to be done in a systematic fashion.
Yeah.
And this kind of unfortunately, this matter took a political turn. You see, with the PFI entering, with the Campus One entering, you see, and with so many, you know, ifs and buts that came in. Unfortunately, the matter was politicized. And it is due to this politicization and this, you know, this kind of a widespread, shall we say, you know, uprising that came in, even from the Muslims. This was not required, really. Had politics kept out of this, and had we allowed this one particular school to go ahead, then, you know, other schools, government schools, would automatically have fallen within the ambit of whatever the judgment was. So the point